I'm Jonathan Hall. This is Brian Grant. We are financial advisors with Warburton Capital. And Brian, whether we are in the conference room with our clients or filming this podcast, our goal is to help people grow their wealth, define a purpose for their wealth that moves them towards peace.
Yep, that's exactly right. I have a question for you.
Let's hear it.
How much is enough?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a good question.
and I expect a perfect answer that you already know.
That's a really thought-provoking question. In my mind, it brings up a few different things, right? There are a couple follow-up questions. Enough for what?
Right.
Right? I mean, if we're talking about money, we've often had clients ask us that question, right? How much do I need to retire? That's another episode of this podcast. But how much is enough? That's kind of a different thought-provoking question, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of it's like, how much do I need to retire is more math, and it's more what's the minimum is kind of a way to think about it, versus this is more of a feelings type of question, what's
Yeah.
enough, and it's more the ceiling. It's like, but I think it's important to think through, because I think if you don't, it's one of those things where it's really hard to define and it'll change over time. But if you don't try to, it defines itself. And typically the default answer is just more than you have now. And that's a dangerous trap to get into. So, I mean, I guess the goal for us today is just to help people think through what they're actually moving towards. Because otherwise, again, if it just becomes a moving target, I think you will feel dissatisfied despite constantly achieving maybe on paper, right? And so that's the struggle we want to help people try to avoid.
There's this analogy, Brian, that I can't quite shake. And it's this idea of someone running, which is more fun, to go run around a scenic area, even if it's in a loop, and be able to see a lot of things as you're taking a jog, or running on a treadmill in a hotel gym, right? I mean, one is definitively more fun than the other. And that's the image that keeps coming to mind as we talk about this, is that, okay, we may even have the exact same level of output jogging on the treadmill as the person that we see jog by our window while we're looking out on our treadmill.
Yeah.
We may have the same level of output. We may have ran the same amount, or the same distance rather, but we're achieving totally different things. One person's going to feel like they accomplished something at the end of it, and the other person is going to feel like they ran a lot.
Yeah. No, I like that. I mean, okay, so I guess back to something you said at the beginning is, this, do I have enough, or how much is enough, brings up a lot of other questions, I think. And your first one was enough for what? I mean, I think that's really the first place to start. That again, I think people just create this, maybe unintentionally, but they just develop this idea in their mind that somehow, like, despite working in their 30s, 40s, whatever, and so on, and feeling like, okay, I know I don't have enough today to step away, but someday I'm going to get there and I'll just know it when I see it. And man, I'm telling you, that doesn't happen. We work with people at every stage of the progression towards retirement. And we've worked with plenty of people. We've been in business 20 years. We've worked with plenty of people who have, kind of moved closer and closer throughout the years working with us. They don't at 60 just walk in and be like, I figured it out.
Yeah.
There's no magic light bulb that goes off and defines kind of what the next phase is going to look like for you. And I think until you've created what that goal of retirement looks like, it's hard to know what number you need to support that. It's hard to know how much is enough, and when at some point you're just working towards seeing a bigger number on a screen. So I think that's the first step, is like, don't even think through the numbers first. Think through, what are my values? What do I actually want? If money were irrelevant, what is the life I would create? What are the things I would want to go do?
Right. One of the things that we talked about in a previous episode, I think it was our episode on retiring early, was, okay, I'm waking up in the morning and I want to retire. I just turned 45. I just turned 50. I really want to retire. The question I ask then is, why do you have a life that you feel like you need to escape from?
Mhm.
With this question, how much is enough? Maybe the question we should be asking is, why do you have a life that you feel like you need to escape from? How would you think about that in terms of this question? How much is enough?
Sure. Well, I mean, first of all, that I loved that. I thought about that several times after you said it because I think that's a good place to start if you're thinking from that side of things. To your point, this is almost similar, but a little bit different phrasing. It's like, why have I not yet built a life that I just can't wait to get to? You know, you and we see so many people that are really successful in their career, but sometimes that comes at the expense of hobbies and friends and family and, all of the things that they maybe otherwise would be interested in or once were interested in. And then they get to this point and they have enough money to retire and they look back and there's no one to enjoy it with because everything was sacrificed to accumulate the wealth, or there's no hobbies or things outside of work. Work has become life. And
Yeah.
it's like, I know that's hard not to do. I get it. I work too. And I like what I do. So it's natural when you're interested in something for that to become a passion. And when you're a high achiever, you get rewarded at work with pats on the back or raises or all these things that make you feel good as a person. But it's important to keep in mind as you're doing that someday, if retirement's the goal, I mean, some people just want to work forever. They love it. That's great. But if retirement is the goal, you have to have something to fill your days. There has to be something that you're looking forward to getting to. So that's why I think first it's like, again, don't think about the money first. Think about what you would do if you could create a life on paper that you just would be excited to wake up to every day. Because I'm telling you, no one, you don't hit 5 million or whatever number and all of a sudden think, cool, I'm ready. The next day is still Monday. Like it's just
Yeah.
a normal day. You have to have something to go do.
Yeah.
So everyone's going to have to define this differently for themselves of how much is enough, but you're not going to know that answer even for yourself till you figured out enough for what.
Something I would add to that, I think is very insightful. But something I would add to that is that you should practice those things today, right? So we've talked about why do you have a life that you feel like you need to escape from? It's maybe the negative side, right? Still a great question. But then on the positive side, why have you not built a life yet that you can't wait to escape to?
Mhm.
Right? And if you're hanging on to work, it's kind of the opposite problem. If you're hanging on to work, you have plenty of money, but you're hanging on to it. Why?
Mhm.
And we've seen that where people have achieved what we call escape velocity. They've achieved escape velocity. They can escape the workforce if
Mhm.
they'd like to, and they choose not to. That's totally okay. But you just need to know why. Am I doing it because I want to be able to accomplish X, Y, or Z in my career? Am I doing it because I may have enough for basic needs today, but I'd like to be able to build some more cushion in my life in the future? Great. Or am I doing it because I just don't know what I would do if I didn't work?
Mhm.
And we hear that quite a bit. I just don't know what I would do if I didn't work. Okay.
I think that's the thing. That's where most people fall.
I actually think that there's something to that. We haven't really talked about this before.
Mhm.
Um, but we get that a lot. We got that yesterday. I just don't know what I would do with myself if I mean, we've said that to each other. That's probably something to dive into, I think.
Right. Yeah. Well, and if you don't know that, then maybe you aren't ready to retire whatever amount of assets you have. You
Sure.
know what I mean? Like I don't know that it's any better to just sit at home. Particularly if you don't hate what you do.
Sure.
Right. So this isn't like, I don't know, the goal of this for me isn't get to a certain number that allows me to escape as soon as possible so that I don't ever have to work again.
Mhm.
I like going to work.
Mhm.
But we talk about all the time, right? Make work optional. Work doesn't feel like work nearly in the same way when it's truly optional from a financial perspective. But again, you only know that enough number if you know what your life would look like on the other side of it. Otherwise, I'm telling you, the goalposts will move. Because I think enough has kind of two enemies, right? There's like the identity attachment, this status, this wanting to keep up. That's an unwinnable game. there's always another person that has more money than you.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're in the wrong room, all the way up to Elon,
Yes.
right? Like, he's the only one who
Yeah.
wins. So that's just a flaw. You can't play that game. You gotta define it for yourself. The other one is like the flip side. It's like scarcity thinking. It's like what ifs eat you alive, and it's
Mhm.
like, well, I have enough for what I think I want to do, but what if this happens? What if that happens? What Man, that's an endless game too.
Mhm.
I know what if. I don't know. Right? I mean, not everything is knowable, but at some point you've got to move past that, or those two things will eat you alive.
100%. I love the way that you frame that because let's think about it with a thought experiment. Okay. Back to this earlier question of enough, but then also, I don't know what I would do if I retired, right? So if someone gave you whatever the number is that you would need to be able to live your life and do all the things you want to do, maybe not have a yacht, and a giant house in the Hamptons, but,
Right.
do the things you want to do and live really, really nicely without working.
Right.
So let's say that number is, I don't know, $10 million, nice round number.
Mhm.
And you could pull 4% off of that. You could pull 400,000 out a year and you could live off that for a nice long time. A lot of people could. So then, okay, if we're spending 400,000 a year, we can do whatever we want. What do we do? When you wake up that next morning, what do you do?
Mhm.
That's where people go, I don't know what I would do with myself if I retired because the alarm clock goes off and then what? Right? And so if the answer is, I'd probably get up and go to work, why?
Right.
Right? I think there's, we usually save the homework for the end, but a little bit of homework you could do on this is asking yourself why, and then writing it down, and then asking yourself why about that, and writing it
Mhm.
down, and doing that 3 or 4 times, trying to get a little bit deeper. Okay, why would I go back to work the next day? Because I just love it. I have a friend, I was telling you this earlier. I have a friend who loves what he does so much that he said, um, there's no amount of money that you could pay me to make me stop doing what I do. There's no sum. It means too much to me. I
Mhm.
wouldn't take it. I'm on a mission. Love that.
Mhm.
And that's, if you feel that way about work, then awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
That should be a part of your life going forward.
Mhm.
I identify with that. I
Mhm.
love doing what we get to do. And, when we wake up in the morning and we get to go help clients throughout the day and serve people and just get to know people and help them achieve their goals,
Mhm.
like it's so much fun to
Yeah.
be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, and I think a good advisor helps you think through this side of stuff too. There's plenty of smart people who can do math, right? It's if you
We're
study
the only
long,
ones, Brian.
we're the only ones who can do math. No, but I mean, back to the other episode of like, do I have enough to retire? It's like, that's an important thing to figure out. You need to know that it's feasible from a math perspective, but you also need to solve for this problem. And then a good advisor can help you do that too. It's easy enough to tell you, hey, based on probabilities, based on history of what the market's done, pretty good likelihood you could achieve XYZ, you know, given the portfolio you have today or what you likely will have with these behaviors, right? We can help you do that, but I think a good advisor helps you define the XYZ, right? Like, what do you want it to look like? And we can help you think through that. And I just think that's crucial because, again, the goal is not the wealth. The wealth is a tool. The goal is, what do you want to do with it? And it's just pointless to accumulate for accumulation's sake.
Particularly if you find yourself in a position where maybe you have been accumulating wealth and now you have a lot of wealth, right? Or you've inherited a lot of wealth recently, or you just sold a business, or there's some sort of life transition that's popped up where now you're starting to think, hey, that might actually be enough.
Mm,
An advisor can really help you think through all the non-financial aspects of that decision to retire or not. And then what does life look like once we do that? And frankly, it's a lot of fun getting to help people think through that because that's where the real, I don't know, the real stuff of
mhm.
life is. being able to find, because ultimately what we're circling around here, Brian, is being able to find peace,
Hmm.
right? How do we find contentment? How do we find peace in our lives? And what role can money play in that? You mentioned earlier the two enemies of enough, one being comparison and the other being scarcity. On the comparison side, there will always, I promise you, having done this for as long as I've done it, there will always be someone that's wealthier than you.
For sure.
Unless you are Elon Musk or whoever the next wealthiest person in the world is. Is Bill Gates when we were growing up.
Right.
So unless you are that person, there will be someone wealthier. And there will be status symbols beyond where you are today. Right. So that's something that's kind of a unique perspective that we have as financial advisors. There's kind of this, okay, we have a good middle class, normal American white picket fence kind of life, right? And we have enough money for that, but we really want a lake house. Like our neighbors down the street have a lake house and they have this. Maybe they have a country club membership. Okay, well, that might be the next level of wealth or status that you see that's aspirational. But those people that are already there are looking at their friends that have a house in Arizona or that have a house in
Mhm.
Timbuktu, wherever, and they've
Right.
they've got the next level of status symbols. Maybe the cars that they drive are nicer, or the school that their kids go to are nicer,
Mhm.
or the vacations that they're able to take are nicer. And then those people are all looking at the guys who fly on private jets and who are able to do this or that in their livelihoods. None of it's wrong, right? They're all things to achieve and places to get. And
Mhm.
each of those people have probably worked really hard to get there. But the question is, and it's not even wrong to want those things. I want to be very clear about that. It's not wrong to want the next thing.
Mhm.
The question is why? And is there a stopping point? Because otherwise, you're the guy on the treadmill making no progress, running as hard as you possibly can and completely burning out.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. No, you gotta figure out if you want that or if you think you want it because that's what they want. And it's just not a game you want to play. So,
On the practical side, we have to think through enough for our lifestyle.
mhm.
Like, what's enough to actually pay the bills,
Right.
keep the lights on, and keep things going?
Mhm.
Some people are content just having enough for that, right? That may be enough. Then there's having enough to be able to withstand emergencies. I tend to think that's closer to enough mathematically. We want to
Sure.
be able to allow for some wiggle room.
Hmm.
Then there's enough for freedom, right? Being able to do the things that we want to do within reason, acknowledging maybe we don't have a fleet of private jets waiting to take us across the globe, but so we don't have enough for that, but we have enough to not have to go back to work. We have enough to be able to take vacations, something like that. Um, and then enough for legacy. Some people really don't um, worry about that, about passing wealth on to their next generation, and that's totally fine. It's a uniquely personal thing. But if that is a goal, I kind of see it as an order of operations. We have enough to keep the lights on. We have enough for unexpected things. Now we have enough to do the things that we want to do and we want to be able to do. And we have enough to be able to leave for the next generation and help the world at large.
Right. Yeah. It's like needs, wants, and wishes. All right. You go in that order. But no, I mean, I think that's good. I think it's probably a good place to end on. Probably running out of time.
Yeah, I
We could
think
talk
we
about
are
this
running
for a
out of
while.
time.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a great topic.
Mhm.
It's been a lot of fun. Look forward to doing this again.
Yes, sir.